right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Minor Obsession. This is your game preview for the Charlotte 49ers versus UMass. Hopefully you're heading to work this morning or you're heading to the game on Saturday and you're ready for this awesome battle. Sean, are you pumped?
I am pumped.
I feel like we're always pumped about these. It's a different kind of atmosphere, a different feel. It's like, all right, I'm ready for football and I'm ready for a 49er W.
Yeah, and this is one that I feel like is going to be a really exciting night for us. Not that we haven't already had a great two-game coming out party for Will Healy, but I feel like this is another one where we've got a chance to really show what we're made of and what we're building towards, and a chance to break a really interesting streak. I don't know if you know this, but we've never won against FBS non-conference FBS opponent at home.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That is kind of weird.
It's a weird streak to have, but I feel like that's going to end now.
I feel good about it. I can lead in. I know we talk about it, but it's important to kind of set the tone. The spread for this game is 19.5, 20 points, something like that, in Charlotte's favor. So again, to give all of the listeners out there that don't understand the point spreads, last week against App, we were 22-point dogs, meaning they were predicting that we would lose by 22 or more points. This week against UMass, we're predicted to win by 20 or more points. So talk about one side of the universe to the other just within 1 week. And I'm sure it's going to change again the following week when we have Clemson.
Yep, and you've mentioned before, too, on the past couple episodes that UMass beat us in our most recent bout against them. And so being favored by that much recently after they beat us, which it was a close game in the end, but we started off pretty slow, is good progress towards what we're doing. Also, they're a slightly different team. They're not quite the same team they were in the past, so that definitely contributes to it. But I can't think of a time where we were 20-ish point favorites on an FBS opponent. Can you? I mean, I know we don't have them tracked in our heads, but I can't think of a time in the past 2 years or even since we turned FBS that we would have had a spread that large.
Yeah. I cannot think of one either. I mean, obviously, we played Gardner-Webb on week 1, but they're not a FBS opponent. So, yeah, we've had some big spreads when we're playing FCS teams, but most of the time we're the dogs or a very slight favorite in FBS games. So, exciting for that. Additionally, since we started talking about it, the over-under for this game is 67. The last 2 games has been in that 52 to 54 range. So we've gone up 2 touchdowns on overall for the game. And that makes sense based on the amount of points we've given up, but also the amount of points we've scored. We've scored 40-plus points in both of our first 2 games. And just to give you a little background on UMass, they've given up 40-plus points in their last 2 games.
But they've only scored 20. So I'm liking the under on that 67. Is that what you said?
Yeah, 67.
I'm liking the under on that front. I know we've done pretty good so far in our picks.
Yeah.
Probably 3-1-ish. So I feel good about saying this is going to be an under, but an under from the standpoint of we're throwing up 40 to 50 and they're throwing up 10.
Yeah. I respectfully disagree with you again today. I think it's going to go over. I think our special teams could give up points again like they have in the last 2 games, and which they did against UMass when we played them last year. And I think our offense is going to finally break that 40 or high so far for the season, which was apropos with Will Healy's first game was 49.
Yeah.
I see a 50 ball, maybe even a 60 ball. Like I feel Baltimore Ravens, Miami Dolphins type scoring in this one.
I just don't know how much more you can expect from us. We are currently leading Conference USA in scoring at 45-point average, and leading Conference USA in rushing offense, and leading Conference USA in total offense. Not to mention in FBS, all of FBS, that's 20th in points, 14th in rushing, and 24th in total offense. So I'm not saying we can't go higher. I'm not saying we've reached our ceiling in terms of offense, and certainly against a lower tiered UMass that's not quite up to their full caliber of that we've seen in the past is possible. But I feel like we're flying pretty well on offense already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get cocky like App probably did, but I feel good about the game, especially like you said, we're top 20 in the country in rushing with over 200 yards per game, and UMass has to be top 20 worst at defending the rush because they're giving up over 200 yards per game in their 2 games. Fun fact about the opponent that they lost to, Rutgers, who put up a lot of points on them. Rutgers' other game, and we know we've got friends of the pod that are Rutgers alums, so I apologize for offending them. But they lost to Iowa, who's top 20 in the country, 30-0.
Ooh.
So they put up 0 points against Iowa, but somehow put up 40 points against UMass.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're throwing up 41 points on App.
That's fair.
I think more scoring is very likely, and that's why I think the 67's an over, because whether our special teams gives up points or whatever, or garbage time points for UMass, I think it's going to be like a 56-20 type game.
Ooh. See, I think you're disrespecting our defense. I mean, App State's a much better offensive team than we're talking about right now with UMass, and minus 2 plays like we recapped, 2 or 3 plays here or there, we had that offense in check with our defense, and I look for us to shore up those few parts too. Ben DeLuca is out for this game, so we were a little unsure about that earlier in the week when we were recapping App State. Unfortunate to see him gone, and Tyreek Harris is also going to miss his 3rd game in a row, so it'll be interesting to see if he maybe gets redshirted now that we're 3 games into the season and he still hasn't had a start there. But I look for our defense to lock it down. I'm going with a 46-14.
That's fair.
I don't even know if 46 makes math work
yeah,
for touchdown scores, but somewhere in that vicinity.
That's fair. I would just say, sure, we gave up all those points to App, but we also gave up 28 points to Gardner-Webb, who's not an FBS school.
The defense didn't. I mean,
I didn't say the defense would. I said
Yeah.
special teams has been consistently bad.
Yep.
And like you said, we don't have the depth there, and I hope it gets better. But where is the the light at the end of the tunnel? I don't know if I see it. I think special teams is going to continue to be challenging for the rest of the season.
that might be true. I'm confident we'll see some improvements. I mean, if I'm Will Healy, 75% of my practice this week might have been special teams only. I might have told the offense and defense to take a day or 2 off, whoever's not on special teams, and just said, we're going to run kickoffs coverage, we're going to run punt coverage, we're going to do some onside kicks and just try and get people into the mode. We're gonna kick field goals and do some blocking for it. Like, that is so far our most glaring weakness, and so be interesting to see how we bounce back from that. And
if you're Will Healy, do you overuse your starters and put them on special teams?
you might have to at some point. Maybe not necessarily this game, given we're 20-point favorites and it should be, I wouldn't call it a lock, but we should have it well in hand. But certainly moving into Conference USA play, if we don't see some improvement on special teams, maybe not Benny or people like that, but definitely your Aaron McAllisters and other people, although Aaron already does do kickoff returns, so he's already involved in the special teams game. But some of your other players that you're giving a break to, you might have to throw them in there just to help things along. I know Max Thurman, our special teams coordinator, has got to be thinking, all right, what do I got to do to make these big plays go away?
But it's not just special teams, right? It's also big plays on defense.
Sure.
So the defense has played very good from down to down, but then they have moments of giving up the big play. And again, this is a 20-point spread. Hopefully we can take this down fairly easily, but that's definitely coachable and easy to fix. But something else to just be on the lookout for is avoiding the big play. I would say the 2 big things for the Niners is take care of the ball and avoid the big play, whether that's on special teams or defense.
Yeah, and I mean, defense concerns me less because they have played so well down to down, like you mentioned. Special teams, I don't know that I've seen a good special teams performance yet on any of them. I mean, we had our star kicker miss a field goal, and I wouldn't put that all on his back. There may have been some
extra point.
Extra point. Well, you know.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times that happens when kickers have to rush or feel like there's a blocker coming off an edge that they're trying to get it off quick or trying to avoid. So I wouldn't necessarily put it all on his foot.
Well played.
But other than that, I mean, our return game's not been great. Nafis is back there. Nafis Lyons most of the time for punt returns. And not that he's done a bad job, but there hasn't been any return possibilities for him yet. And in fact, I'd almost argue he should fair catch almost all of the punts we've seen so far this year because there's always been a defender in his face as soon as he's catching the ball. Our kickoff game's not been great either, return and coverage. So in my mind, the defense has played good, relatively speaking, for almost 4 quarters with a few play here or there. So that's my big focus.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing to note is we still have both Chris Reynolds and Brett Keane listed as potential starters. There's still an or on the depth chart going into this game. What are your thoughts there?
I think this is a special game. It's, again, we're 20-point favorites, and I think we'll see a similar kind of offense that we saw against Gardner-Webb where we were big favorites, where Will Healy can feel more comfortable pulling out the quarterback and putting in the other quarterback to get Keane's confidence back. But I don't like it. I rather just
back. Where'd it go? He didn't even touch the field last week. It's not like he
that's
didn't
my
help
point.
us to the game.
He lost his confidence by not even touching the
Maybe,
field.
yeah.
I would stick with Reynolds. He, like we talked about multiple times, he's a sophomore. He's got 2 more years to be there to develop. Put him in there. Let him run the ship. Let Keane be there. He knows the plays. Help call signs on the side and bring him in maybe at the end of the game if it's over to avoid injury that Reynolds may have. But otherwise, I hope we don't see three offensive drives and then boom, here comes Keane and then another couple offensive drives for him and then here comes Reynolds. I hope we see Reynolds all the way through and maybe a Keane sighting in the 4th quarter when we're up by 4 touchdowns.
See, I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm not going to make a statement that Keane's going to get run out for the first possession of the game because I think Reynolds has earned that right and deserves to be run out for the first possession of the game and at least lead that drive knowing that he's our number 1 starter in everybody's mind to start with. But I would disagree with you in the fact that I don't think the mentality's changed at all. Something you said a second ago about letting Keane help calling the plays. He has not done any of that. He didn't do any of it during App State either, which means in Will Healy's mind, there's still a potential at any point in that game he could be going in. It's not a garbage time, hey, let's go put Keane in and let him get some playing time. It's this drive to drive, you could see Keane at any point. So I would expect, especially with it being a technically easier opponent or potentially easier opponent, I would expect to see a lot of Keane this week. If nothing else, to see what he's made of and what we've got in him and how far we can take the 2 QB structure. So I would say, in my mind, Reynolds may run out for the first – it might flip from what we saw against Gardner-Webb. You might see Reynolds run out for the first 2 or 3 drives. If he's flowing so well that you can't take him out, maybe he does stay in for a little bit. But if it's not a touchdown, field goal type scenario where we're really flowing on offense the first few drives, I think Keane's going to get quite a bit of playing time this time.
I'll be interested to see what the sidelines look like. I know in that first game against Gardner-Webb, when Reynolds was on the sidelines, he had his helmet on the whole time. He looked intense, and he was ready to get out there. When I was watching Keane on the sidelines at App, and again, maybe he knew he wasn't coming in, but this was early in the game before Reynolds really solidified, I'm staying in for the rest of the game. He had his hat on. He was just kind of chilling.
You're going to go there, huh?
I'm just saying.
It's going to be the outside perspective, just throwing out random statements about something you know nothing. Like everybody when Cam Newton came into the league got mad because he put a towel over his head, and his whole logic was Michael Jordan did it when he was on the bench. He always had a Gatorade towel over his head. He's my idol. That's why I do it. I love having a Gatorade. Hasn't taken it away. People still judge him for it. Keane could just handle things differently than Reynolds does. Maybe Reynolds likes having his helmet on and Keane doesn't like having his helmet on. I wouldn't make any assumptions on that in terms of how involved they are in the game yet.
That's fair. I'm just giving you my observation. I'm going to pay attention to that in this game as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that is because I know I'm not coming into the game, and maybe it's a different mindset when he knows he is coming in the game, or it's similar.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to judge this is when does he come in? Is it when we've got a 21-point lead and there's nothing to worry about, or is it when UMass is still in the game and there's a actual battle going on? If he's just playing to hold a lead, that tells me Reynolds is the starter and the main QB. If he's playing with back and forth scoring or any type of close game, or he goes in early, that tells me Healy really is committed to this 2 QB set, and it may depend week to week based on opponent and who we're facing and what the defenses look like as to who gets the majority of snaps there.
Yep. Well, either way, I don't expect a lot from the quarterback position for this game. I think they'll do fine. They'll make whatever passes they need to make, but I expect more running.
Yep.
Maybe they'll have some rushing yards. Obviously, Reynolds has put up about 70 yards a game, which is pretty impressive as well. And we saw Keene in the first game was able to maneuver and run around the field. I think he got like 12 or 15 yards on a couple of attempts. I expect a lot of that, a lot of option, a lot of Benny LeMay. I think we rush for 250 plus, continue kind of what we've been doing, and win this game handily.
Yeah. I hope Benny keeps his feet on the ground for this one. But I think I agree with you. And I also think this is a perfect opportunity with a game like this to see somebody like Ishod Finger hop out and really show himself what he can do as a running back as well. I mean, we've seen Aaron McAllister. He was around last year and put up some great numbers as a backup to Benny LeMay. Let's see what Ishod has and how he responds week to week as well, because he's already shown some really good flashes in the first 2 games. So especially if the game's well in hand and we don't need Benny on the field, you might as well let Aaron and Ishod get some more reps there so that they're flowing as we get into the middle part of the season and then later into the season when you really need depth at running back.
Completely agree, and to your point, I think Ishod has shown what he's capable of in the first 2 games, and I expect 100 yards from him too.
Yeah.
I see multiple rushers with 100-plus yards in this game.
Okay, I like that.
That's my hot take. I don't see a lot of turnovers, hopefully. I don't see the quarterbacks making mistakes. The question is, with the running backs getting as many touches as I expect them to get, will they hold on to the ball? So far, they've done really well at that, but let's hope that continues.
Yep. Anybody on defense you're eyeing?
I mean, I'm going to take the easy pick because he's averaging 2 sacks a game, but Alex Highsmith has looked fantastic, and I don't see that slowing down either.
Yep. Yeah.
Week after week, he keeps getting to the quarterback.
In my mind, I'm going to be treeing in and really tuned into the safeties, Marquavius and Jayceon. I'd like to see what they do without our leader on the field, Ben DeLuca being out. I'd love to see how they hold back there. They play a big role in helping stop some of those long runs that we gave up last week. So be interesting to see how they do. I thought they did really well when DeLuca came out for the majority of the App State game, and I thought they both played really good, and love to see them continue to grow too, because DeLuca's not going to be around for much longer, even when he is healthy. So be interesting to see what our secondary looks like without him on the field.
Well, Sean's got the score of 46-14, and I have the score of 56-20.
And I've got the under, and you've got the over. I mean,
based on those scores,
yep.
Yes. So the over-under is 67, and the spread is 19.5, 20 points, just under 21 in the 49ers' favor. So far, Sean and I have agreed on all our picks until now, and we're 3-1 with the spreads. Getting Gardner-Webb right, getting App right. Just missed that over-under with App Charlotte, which we missed by a mile. We really expected if we were going to cover, it was going to be a tighter game, and we were wrong on that. But I expect this to be a blowout and a really enjoyable Saturday night for everyone on their way to the game or getting ready to go to the game over the weekend. I think it's going to be a fun one, so definitely try to make yourself out there and bring your friends and family and show them what 49er football is all about, because this is going to be a good one before the one that we're going to be on the ACC network the following week and probably get hurt.
At prime time.
7:30 kick?
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. We bumped App in Chapel Hill, so.
Did we bump them or did we just deserve it? I mean, were App and Chapel Hill ever going to get that spot to start with? Let's be real.
I like it. So any other hot takes from you, Sean?
Nope, just excited for a good game, and hopefully being a 6 o'clock kick, maybe it'll be a little cooler than it has been the past few days, but I'm not crossing my fingers for that one. I'm not counting on it.
Well, either way, you can still get some nice, good cold refreshments and great food in the stadium. So it should be a fun night at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Big win for the Niners. And we will come back to you with a post game and let you know how it ended up and how right we hopefully were. Fingers crossed. So until then, I hope you all enjoy the game. And remember to wear green.
And go Niners.